have a special guest, Cheryl Green, who's a filmmaker and artist.
I have watched most, if not all, of your previous episodes. I can't remember how many of them I've watched, and I love them. And I did often secretly wish I could be on the show.
And you manifested it.
I wasn't disabled, and so, and I was one of those people who hoped to be an ally, but was never really sure if I was.
Now you do have a disability.
And I do, and
it's hidden.
It is hidden. It is.
TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. So going from, not having a TBI to TBI, what were some of the biggest changes socially for you that you experienced after your TBI?
I call it intratainment instead of entertainment. I don't know what's going on in my head, but it's hilarious. I just intratain. The word haircut is incredibly hilarious, but I can't explain to anyone why.
Yeah.
So I'll go for 20 minutes and laugh about the word haircut. I will laugh until I'm hoarse.
So anytime we need to cheer you up.
Now we know the card.
There are a couple. Other cards, but like, don't say my dogs are barking. I laughed all the time and I cried all the time.
So a lot of effusive emotion.
Very effusive emotion.
I can relate.
I could not understand why I was so isolated. Why won't people come over and visit me? Why? Why won't those fucking people come to the gym? I was just getting into fights with everybody all the time, and it was never my fault. I didn't start it, and I also screamed a lot. So
Were you a screamer before?
Not really, not like that. Like, I mean, just anything. If I interrupted my partner and he said, "Oh, you interrupted me," and I'd scream, "Sorry!"
Yeah.
And he'd say, "That's not an apology." I mean, it took months. He had to teach me this. I'm like, well, why isn't it an apology? I said sorry. He's like, because you're screaming and you're using a mean voice. And he had to teach me what a nice voice is and why you would use it. Not being able to notice anybody else's feelings. So if I'm talking for too long and you're starting to... At first I didn't even notice that. But then I started to notice it, but I didn't know what it meant. So I'd be like, why is that person always sighing and looking around all the time? That is so annoying to me. And I would get extremely enraged if someone interrupted me, but I interrupted people constantly. So all those things are super common with traumatic brain injury. I've
also read that after TBI, sometimes there's like a hypersexuality.
I could say I struggled with that or I suffered from that at the beginning, but it sure didn't feel like suffering.
Yeah.
But I think my partner was suffering from it a little bit. To him, it was the same, it was more of the same of everything else I was doing. Yelling too loud, laughing too much, crying too much, punching the walls. Like, if I got excited, sometimes I would punch him. It turned up well past 11. It was only for a little while, and I think that was good for our relationship that it was only a little while because it was really awkward. I had a back injury along with the brain injury, and so expressing your hypersexuality can hurt your back.
Yes.
And I would be crying in pain. But to Andy, come back. It's like, no! You're in pain. I don't want to contribute to pain. I'm not contributing to pain. You're contributing to pleasure. Come back. But he would have to just remove himself from the room.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about traumatic brain injuries?
One big misconception is you will never improve. There will never be any progress. You'll never achieve anything. And then the other one is, well, gosh, you're making it all up. Why are you just get on with it and quit complaining all the time?
Because of the invisibility part.
Yeah. Another misconception is that we don't have a sense of humor. But
you're laughing all the time.
Yeah.
Your dogs are barking.
A lot of people with brain injury do have a sense of humor, but it might be different, and so you use humor in a different way. But people think it's a lack of sense of humor. But most of the people, I know it's not everybody, but most of my friends with brain injury have an astonishing sense of humor. It's very different or very weird, but it's not fair to say there's no sense of humor. Maybe it's just that more things are funny and they're funnier.
3 words.
I heart disability.
Yay! That's a good answer.
People with CP don't care about people with TBI. They're like, I was born with a TBI, so you can suck it all in your 30s when you get yours. Fuck you.